Never dispose of the pen, I'm at it again. We close to the end. The older I get, emphatic I am. They try to pretend, they try to be friend, wreak havoc instead. Look at the trends, can't comprehend my dramatic ascent. I'm heavenly sent, they try to condemn. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the man. Yeah, different vision, but the same goes. Big collision off the main road. That's the beaten path where my brain goes. Fuck the devil's wrath off my halo. Hella stones, no Thanos. Hella gold, no rainbow. This is hella genius in my brain lobes. Hella gross as far as revenue goes. Bought me a net for these Benjamins though. You not a threat, you an enemy though. Broke me a sweat, killing enemies slow. Body offset, all these feminine flows. Hardly upset, but you testing me though. All of these stats are depressingly low. Why your girl think I'm a specimen though? Drones and them perks is my medicine though. There's no comparison. Black in America, little too arrogant. I just embarrass y'all niggas irrelevant. I shouldn't mention it. That's royal etiquette. Out of my element, way too intelligent. Grab you a therapist, sending my sentiments. Neck full of sediments. Cop me a Tesla and skirt through the valley. Drop the investment in Silicon Valley.
Yeah, fam, welcome to episode 859 as we get ready, as we get tuned in, we get plugged in here. What's going on, everyone? Welcome. What's good? What's good in the hood? What's good, 859? What's good, 859? What's good, Swole fam? What's good, Swole Normus, you swole holes? Willkommen, Michael Cassie, David, Dana, Lena, Sharon, Hero. Oh snap, back from Hawaii, first live in a while. Welcome. Willkommen to the Gain Train. Let's get started. 3, 2, 1, do it.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Bow. Testing. Test. Is this mic working? Test. Testing. Testicles. Of course it is. Welcome everyone to episode 859 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular swolecast, beardcast, broadcast, gaincast, mancast, pimpcast, slaycast, nipplecast, coffeecast, I'm pouring coffee, livecast. Ooh, my taint just quivered at the smell of this fresh roast delicious. In the realm, because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. It's getting more depraved, longer, and more convoluted every time. But that is the official Swole, the Daily Swole intro. That's the official intro. It has to be done like that. We can't do it any other way. It's just not possible. It's just not possible. It just wouldn't be right. I wouldn't insult you like that. Welcome to 859. Hello, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope, wherever you're watching. Hello, SoundCloud. If anyone's still watching on the SoundCloud, I know you are. I'm uploading still, but it's Spotify and Apple Podcast for everyone really picking up the heat. But you can go to swolenormousx.com, click on podcast, and subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, even if you catch it live. Subscribe, support, and check out some of the audio. You get to get the throwbacks. You get to check out some episodes you might have missed. Love the old school, longer intros. Oh, well, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. I know you do. And I try to give what you love. If you love the fire intros, you're getting the fire intros. I'll give it to you. I'll lay it down the right way. Oh, yep. So today's we're gonna do a quote of the day, and these are quotes that I have on my wall. Let me bring this up so I say it correctly. Quote of the day today. It's what's it today? Wednesday, Hump Day. And this is a quote from Will Smith. It's attributed to Will Smith, and this is on my wall behind me. So I want to start getting back into one of the, going over some of these things on my wall. I know a lot of you are always asking me, what's on your wall? Quotes, things that inspire me, things that I want to achieve, just things. Stuff that gets me fucking amped. So when I'm doing yoga or I'm meditating, I turn and I look in the wall and I'm like, yeah, that thing right fucking there. And I remember when I wrote the thing, sometimes there's like a memory. It's kind of like a tattoo, but I have them on the wall. I don't ruin my body with that shit. Oh, snap, shots fired. Here we go. Being realistic is the most common path to mediocrity. And that's attributed to Will Smith. Being realistic is the most common path to mediocrity. And I think a lot of people in your circles, when you're trying to lose weight, or build muscle and you get really, quote, obsessed with it. You get obsessed with fitness. People think, oh, you're obsessed. You're your aspirations are too high, right? You know how you're going to lose all that weight? You're going to lose 200 pounds? Really? Seriously? I mean, come on. Let's come have some beers. Come on. Don't be such a fucking jabroni. Let's go get some pizza. We do this every week. Come on. Come on. You can start your diet on Monday. People that are trying to drag you away from your focus, right? Being realistic. Sometimes it's unrealistic. Sometimes you have to have, and I think it's good to have those long-term vision goals, those really aggressive things that you want to accomplish. But then you also have to be practical too. You have to be practical. You have to put food on the table. You have to have a life in the sense that makes you happy. You have to have a life that you need to have. Need to have a life that you aspire to have, and everything in between. So you need to do those daily things. You can't just live in a fantasy world and live in the clouds, but you need to have that high level goal. You have to have what you're shooting for, so then you can come backwards and then figure out what you have to do every single day to make that happen. Today, we're going to talk about repetitions. I want to talk about some high rep fire, some of my exercise or body parts I like to go extra high rep on, which is pretty much all of them. But there are certain ones that really respond better to that, or that require, or you should give attention with higher repetitions if you aren't already. And that's a little bit of a throw to today's workout that I did. It was a shoulder workout. Did a lot of I don't want to say recovery, but corrective. I really went hard on higher repetitions. I went hard on the isometrics. I went hard on some very technical moves and activation. Really, it wasn't for mass. I wasn't trying to get huge. I wasn't trying to destroy my shoulders from a resistance standpoint. It was more of a activation. It was more of a stabilization approach. It was more of working and activating the posterior deltoid and getting some different angles, getting some different mind-muscle connection, if you've heard of that term before. And that's what we lose a lot of times when we go for heavier weights. We try to just lift as much as we can and go from point A to point B, rather than feel and contract the muscle all the way through. Let's see what we got going on here. You are quite intimidating with all that hair. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Intimidating. Don't let me frighten you, young Padawan. It's just facial hair. It's just facial hair. Some of you, how many of you follow me? I know, well, obviously, if you're watching on Instagram, you follow me on Instagram, but how many of you are plugged in? You might watch somewhere else. If you watch somewhere else, you don't have to necessarily watch on Instagram. Maybe you like the better audio. Maybe you like horizontal, whatever it is. But if you don't follow me on Instagram, big mistake, yo. A lot of stuff goes down on Instagram. Even if you don't like it per se, make sure you follow me. That way you can follow my content, because the pictures and the videos, plus the Instagram stories. The Instagram stories gives you behind the scenes. It gives you a lot of the day-to-day stuff. I was in the supermarket raging on some new shit. They moved around a lot of stuff in the supermarket. They're moving in. I shouldn't say moved around or move away. They moved in a lot of these nut milks. My supermarket is really going hardcore. I guess they're just jerking off all the vegans or something, but hardcore with all these different nut milks. First, it was just Almond Breeze for years. It was just that one brand, which has its issues, right? And then all of a sudden, there's all these different companies that produce every kind of milk from every kind of nut. It's like, I'll give you some fucking nut milk. The only kind of nut milk that you should ever be acquiring is human nut milk, not this fucking almond milk, walnut milk. There was, what was it, oat? It was oat milk. I forget what it said. It was but it doesn't even say almond milk. It says milked almonds, and then milked oats, milked hazelnuts. I did it on my Instagram story, and there's this new brand they just started carrying. There's 6 or 7 different kinds of nuts that they're milking now. Yeah, I don't know. Pea milk, I guess. I'm sure they have pea milk. Anything has milk now. Apparently all these things have nipples. Apparently all these nuts are just jizzing everywhere, and they're bottling it and then putting on a shelf. So that's what's happening. I would never want to taste any of them. They sound disgusting. And if they do have a flavor, it's because they're putting sugar in it, or they're putting artificial flavorings, or they're putting extracts, and it's just gross. Why do you need milk that badly? You don't need milk. This is like the human excuse to get off milk. If you're going to have milk, get some raw, full fat fucking dairy. Do the real thing. Don't do this artificial fake shit. I really feel if you're going to do dairy, do healthy dairy, do higher quality dairy, do goat or do sheep. If you have issues with A1 casein, go to A2 casein. They have A2 milk. I mean, do an elimination first, but I mean, soy milk, soy is gross. That's not good for you. Most stuff isn't good for you. Plus, a lot of the stabilizers they put in there are not good for you, and cause inflammation, especially if they have flavors. When you do anything with these flavors, yeah, it adds sugar, it adds other calories, it adds other ingredients and stabilizers and things that it has to maintain. But yeah, the only kind of dairy you should be doing is raw, full fat dairy, grass-fed cows, maybe kefir and those, maybe with probiotics and stuff like that. But most people shouldn't be doing. Yeah, you shouldn't. Soy is the bane of fucking nutrition. I would be suspect of anything that Walmart carries just because of quality and quantity. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of unanswered questions. I'm not saying you drink one of those things is going to kill you. That's just my kind of ranting opinion. It's just taking over more space. There's just so much of this gluten-free, vegan option, nut milk. It's just the milk section is exploding. It used to be just milk. Now it's just every different kind of white liquid they can put on the shelf. Everything they can get some kind of white liquid from, it's on the shelf. And I was like looking for it. It's just the dairy section is actually increasing in size, but it's not increasing with actual dairy. It's increasing with all this dairy-free shit. Sugar-free, I mean, why? Carrageenan is known to be an inflammatory, and that's a stabilizer in a lot of these like almond milks. But why even bother? Why even bother just drinking watered down white liquid? You're just trying to fill some hole that was left by your addiction to dairy, to milk. You don't need that stuff. There's no need. What do you eat that you need any kind of milk? Soy, I would stay away from it. If anything, do some kind of a nut milk. But the nut milk, what are you using it for? You shouldn't be eating cereals. You shouldn't be, in your coffee. It's just filler. It's just filler. It's filling in the blanks. It's filling the gaps of what you're lacking in your nutrition. You're not focusing on your food enough. Get off these sweeteners, get off the fillers, get off the extras. That adds hundreds of calories to your nutrition daily. So if you're worried about losing weight, it's all these little things that you aren't calculating really. Oh, a little bit in your milk, 50, 70, 100 calories once, twice, 3 times a day. Shit adds up. I just like how it mixes my protein powder. Double strike protein powder plus nut milk. Oh goodness. 2 things you can eliminate. I'm not big on supplements. If you're new to the podcast, I'm not big on supplements. Most of them are just a fucking waste of money. There's nothing that you need that you can't get from real whole foods. Okay. If you're talking about specific vitamins or specific food-based things, but any of those extra proteins, you need food. You don't need powder. You don't need that shit. What if you want to gain weight, muscle mass? Absolutely don't need it. 110,000%. You don't need a protein powder to gain weight or build muscle. That's just marketing. All right, let's get back on to the main subject. Today's episode, high rep fire. You can drop comments and questions. Some of them I will get to. Some of them I will not get to. Some of them I may even ignore, but you can still ask and comment down below. And if it fits into the dialogue, we'll jump it in. It's more about diversifying milk consumption. Yeah, you shouldn't be drinking, really, you shouldn't be consuming milk. And you shouldn't really be, consuming cow milk. They're not even cows. Yeah, stay away from it. It's very inflammatory for most people. And all the other substitutes are just useless fillers. Useless fillers. What do you recommend instead of protein powder? I recommend food. I recommend protein sources. I like grass-fed beef. Okay, if you want to be a vegan, you want to run the plant train, you can do that, but you need to get complete proteins. Food. Make sure you're eating real food, whole food. So high reps today. Today I did a shoulder workout, and one of the benefits of doing higher repetitions is the amount of time, the amount of repetitions that your muscles are experiencing tension, experiencing force. So you've probably heard the phrase, and we've said it many times here on the podcast, time under tension. Time under tension can occur based on the number of repetitions done and the number or the time spent during each repetition, because as you know, in a full contraction, you're doing a concentric, an isometric potentially, and an eccentric portion of the contraction. You're going through a full range of motion in most cases. And the amount of time spent doing those contractions is going to be considered the time under tension. Now, there is a balance, there's a gray area, because just because you're increasing the time under tension doesn't mean you're doing more damage to the muscle per se, doesn't mean you're going to stimulate more muscle growth, because you need to overload your muscles enough to stimulate growth. You need to stimulate hypertrophy and to stimulate the desire for your body to increase cross-sectional area. That's what we want for hypertrophy. Women want to build muscle. Whether or not you want to lose, cut, tone, all those bullshit words, tone doesn't exist. You want to build muscle and lose fat. That's what toning means. Toning means I want to be less fat. I want to see the muscle. That's what toning is. You can't train to tone. You either build muscle and you're in a caloric surplus, or you lose fat and you're in a caloric deficit and you're trying to maintain as much muscle mass as you possibly can. If you're trying to build muscle, which most of you should, 99.9% of you should be working to build muscle. You should be working to build muscle, whether you're new to training or whether you're experienced. You should be trying to develop and get the full balance out of your muscles and your joints, right? Developing the front, the side, the rear, the muscles on top, the muscles on bottom, around the joints, inside the joints, making sure there's balance. And every muscle is going to have its own strength capacity. It's going to have its own type of concentration of type 1 or type 2 fibers. It's going to be more of an endurance muscle, a stabilizer muscle, more of a mobility, more of a force producing muscle. There are many different types of muscles and different actions that these muscles will take in different areas of the body. The lats are going to be more of a power muscle. The pectoralis major is going to be more of a strength and a power muscle. The glutes are great for producing power and locomotion. The rectus femoris, power. Then you have these deep stabilizers. You have the rotator cuff. You have the deep external rotators of the hip. You have all these different assisting muscle groups. So there's a lot of muscles and most muscles provide some type of stability in the sense that they're crossing joints and they're producing force and they're tensing around the joint, which can provide stability. But some muscles will produce more action than others. Some muscles, when they contract, they will move the arm in a huge arcing motion. Some of the muscles, when they contract, they produce stability. They don't contract and bend the vertebrae, for example, because there are muscles called, for example, the multifidus, which will cross. There are many of them, and they'll cross maybe 1, 2, or 3 vertebrae, and they just, when they contract and they tighten, they produce stability around the vertebrae. So they don't bend and move the spine. When they contract, they produce tension and then support the spine in terms of keeping the bones where they are. So different muscles have different roles. And what is lost in most weight training is how to do high rep work, where to focus high rep work on, and when it goes too far or when it's not done enough. And it's a very good tool to build muscle. Higher repetitions, time under tension, it's great to build muscle, especially in muscles that are more of a balance between a stabilizer and a movement muscle, like the posterior deltoid. You kind of get that little crossover where it produces action at the shoulder, but it's not the biggest muscle in the shoulder. It's not a rotator cuff muscle, but it has some integrated movements where it works cohesively with the rotator cuff. So a lot of the muscles, or I shouldn't say a lot of them, but two of the muscles of the rotator cuff, the teres minor and the infraspinatus, provide external rotation and some extension of the shoulder. If I'm remembering correctly, I believe in certain positions they provide some shoulder extension, but the posterior deltoid does horizontal abduction, moves the arm horizontally away from the midline. It also does shoulder extension. It pushes the humerus backwards, and it does external rotation. It spins the arm out. So you have this kind of combination action where it does extension of the shoulder. It does some rotation along with the rotator cuff. It's not technically a rotator cuff muscle. It is part of the deltoid group. And this muscle is great to hit with higher repetitions. It's great to hit with isometrics. It's great to hit with a lot of concentration when you are performing your exercise. And it's very important in order to hit the posterior deltoid for example, because I was working that today and I always focus my shoulder workouts on the posterior deltoid, to do some isometrics at full contraction, to make sure you're not activating your upper traps, to keep your shoulders back and down, to focus on all the movements of the posterior deltoid. To perform that movement with that horizontal abduction, to perform it getting your shoulders back as far as you can, to maximize that extension, to maximize the external rotation, and not to ignore those things. Because if you're doing a movement, but you're leaving out the external rotation, for example, when you're trying to hit the posterior deltoid, you're not getting the full contraction of the posterior deltoid. It's just a fact. You're not getting full contraction because you're not doing the full movement of the muscle. And it's very hard to get the full movement of a muscle when you go too heavy. The heavier you go with weight, the more integrated the movement becomes. The less focus you have on the full contraction, and the more your body will shift to move the weight from point A to point B. Think about the heaviest sets you've ever done. Think about the heaviest you've ever lifted. Think about when you lift super, super heavy. You are pushing. It's like when you play a sport or you play the piano or any kind of thing you do in a competition. You practice, you practice, you practice, you fuck up all the time. You practice your technique, where you put your hands on the keys or where you grab the weights. You practice when you're doing a performance, when you're doing a speech, whatever you're practicing to do better, you focus on the form, the technique, and the details in what you're executing. When you're in the actual event, whether it's a sports competition or whether it's a presentation you're doing, you're not thinking about all those little details. You're practicing. You're just kind of zoned out. You're in the zone and you're executing because you prepared properly. And the same thing's in the gym. When you start going heavier, you're focusing on moving the weight, producing force. You're not focusing on isolated holds and contractions. You're not focusing on time under tension per se. You're focusing on neural recruitment, explosive movement, firing as many you're not focusing consciously on this, but you're firing as many motor neurons and motor units as possible, motor unit synchronization, all these things that come from heavier strength training and heavier lifts. That's what comes into play. You're not focusing on, okay, slow eccentric isolation. It's too heavy. The resistance, the intensity is too high, so you can't focus on some of these other things. And that's where high reps come into play with these kind of gray area stabilization muscles. And even some of these larger muscle groups, even things like the lats, even things like the chest, if you drop the weight and you focus on the actual action of the muscle, where's the muscle inserting onto? What bones are supposed to move? Where do my hands and where does my body have to move through open space to maximize the tension and the pressure on the muscle I'm trying to work? I did a chest workout. What's today? Wednesday. Oh, I'm going to try to bring up the day. I fucking forget. Who cares? Doesn't matter. I did a chest workout the other day. I guess it was over the weekend. And I only did chest. I think I mentioned it here on the show. I didn't want to combine it with anything else. I just did a chest workout. And I went really back to basic muscle mechanics, dropped the weight dramatically. I was doing incline press with 50s or 60s, something like that. And really focusing on slow, controlled movement and making sure that I wasn't pushing with my hands. And one of the things that happens a lot is you forget how to isolate, you forget how to connect with the muscle, and you literally just push with your hands. You're holding the weights in your hands. You try to get the weight from here to here. You push them in. And what happens is a lot of times when you're doing chest pressing is you'll get more action on your anterior deltoid and your triceps because it's easier for your body to bend the elbows more, keep the dumbbells closer to the body, and distribute the force on the anterior deltoid and on the triceps. It makes it easier on the chest. Why wouldn't your body want to do that automatically? Well, it does. You want to bend, you don't want to, but your body will bend the elbows in more in order to distribute the weight. It's a compound movement. It's working multiple muscles across multiple joints. That is detrimental from a muscle building standpoint when we're trying to isolate the chest as much as possible. And believe it or not, you can isolate the chest extremely well with a dumbbell press if you are focusing on the right parts of the movement. If you're focusing on only the upper arm moving, if you're keeping your elbow angle wider and you're not allowing your hand to come in, you're keeping it 90 degrees and vertical, you're keeping that forearm perpendicular perfectly with the ground, and you're squeezing your bicep, your upper arm, your humerus in as much as you can while keeping your hands wide, focusing only on the action of the upper arm, interacting with the sternum and the origin points of the chest. And you can get a sick pump going slow and controlled and focusing your brain 100% on the chest muscle. You can get amazing engagement with the chest. And it's technically a compound movement. It's technically It's technically a multi-joint movement, but you really get amazing isolation. Instagram, manufacture romance. When a person has only 30 minutes to work out, do you suggest focusing on one area of the body, or is a full body workout more efficient? It depends on what your goal is. If you only have 30 minutes, you're either distributing 30 minutes with short rest over a full body, or you're doing 30 minutes on one body part and you get more volume, you can do more strength. It depends on the goal. It depends on why you're working out. If it's only like a fluke event, it's like just compress your workout into 30 minutes. If you only have 30 minutes period only, then you have to design your program around it. A lot of people try to design their program, and this is a message for everyone. This is one of my principles for training in Swole Enormous X. It's the EVT principle. It's your experience, the volume, and time. So how much time really do you have to train? Your experience is going to be a factor, how much volume you need in terms of what your goal is, and how much time you have to work out. A lot of people have a program or get on a program or try to set up a program that is unrealistic for how many times they can go to the gym. If you've never gone to the gym before and you try to start with the program, hey, I'm going to work out 6 days a week, you're going to fall short. You're trying to overhaul your entire life and create a whole new schedule. You're really overloading yourself. It's something that needs to be realistic. It's something that needs to be applicable to your life. If you're trying to start a program, hey, I'm going to go to the gym twice a day, but you only have time to go to the gym once a day, 3 times a week, it's not a good program for you. And too many people are starting off with programs that are too advanced or that they don't have time to actually accomplish. And then you're just shooting yourself in the foot before you even start the race, right? Has anyone actually seen Papa Swole without his shades on? All the time. I'm posting videos and stuff on YouTube and Facebook and everywhere all the time without my glasses on. No one's wondering because everyone sees me. You're on Instagram. You're following me on Instagram. There's like 1,000 posts in my profile right there on the front, just 1,000 posts without me without my glasses on. Maybe 2,000. There's all the pictures without my glasses on. There's always from lazy people. How come you never take your glasses off? I do all the time, and I'm always posting shit. Instagram stories everywhere without my glasses on. All the time. All the time. All the time. You need to open your eyes and take a look. All the fucking time. Any advice on doing pressing movements while minimizing the work done by the shoulders? What kind of pressing movements? A chest press? Yeah, you need shoulder activation. You need to activate your posterior deltoid. You need to activate your posterior rotator cuff, your scapula muscles, your stabilizers, and focus on exactly what I was saying by pulling the elbows towards each other and keeping the hands wider. That'll help take off the shoulders. Most of these things happen because, or the deactivation is because posture sucks. If you're not feeling it in your chest, it's because your posture sucks. You have muscles that are not activating. Your alignment is off in your upper body, which is common because people are sitting down, hunched over in chairs and at offices all day long. And it's very easy for muscles to become imbalanced. Greetings from Poland. Hello, Poland. Hardly ever get on IG. Well, you're on it right now. Go check out my profile and see my eyes. Watch me look into your soul and tell you that you're being lazy. You need to get off your ass and go to the gym. Get off your ass. So that's how you can hit the chesticles more. The posterior deltoid is great for high repetitions. We talked about calves the other day on Muscle Monday. We talked about the anterior tibialis. So calves are a good one that you can get a lot of action out of with high repetitions. Forearms are great. I still think any muscle that you want to build needs heavy resistance as well. But higher repetitions to failure are great, are absolutely great for building these muscles that are exposed to a lot of action. Forearms are exposed to a lot of grip stuff and movement all day long. The calves are exposed to repetitive stress. So getting full stretch and getting a full contraction, a full cramped up contraction almost on your tippy toes, on your calves really, really helps to develop those muscles. And any of these larger muscles are really great when you drop the weight, slow down the movement, and really focus on the full contraction. And this whole week, I split up my body parts more. I was doing chest and back for a bunch of weeks. I was doing legs, I was doing arms, kind of like a 3-day split with yoga and recovery and stuff in between. So this week I went to just doing chest on one day, back on another, and I really went through some foundational strength and stretching movements, but going lighter with the weight, full contraction, twisting, arching, getting the maximum, rolling up the muscle, slacking as much as possible from the origin to the insertion. Really nasty stuff. Got some videos and stuff on that, and those things I'm going to break down for Swolenormous X and the new program, the restructuring of the program vault. So those of you that are Swolenormous X members, that stuff will be coming out soon. We'll be rolling that out shortly. Just finishing some of the structural, and then everyone can start testing it and checking it out and giving some feedback. So that whole Lego building block thing is really coming to life, where you'll have individual program weeks that reference the workout archive, and it's going to be fully integrated with the instructional video archive for breakdowns of the exercises. So stepping up, going to have a search function. There's going to be so much shit in there to go through with the sections. So fire, super stoked. Vince, love the PVC pipe trick you gave us before I do upper body gains. PVC pipe is gold. Love that thing. It's always the cheap stuff, right? Like a $2 PVC pipe or a $2 band for your glute medius. It's always like the cheap equipment or the body weight stuff that is just the most valuable. The weights are a dime a dozen. Well, not a dime a dozen. They're expensive. But the stuff that's going to help your body the most and repair and align is going to be with body weight stuff. It's the yoga, it's meditation, it's these corrective exercises and realigning of the body. That's fucking great. It's great. Where's a good place to reference to know your form is correct? That's a good question. I don't peruse the internet. I don't know of like anything except my site that I have my instructional videos on, swolenormousx.com. In terms of another website, I actually don't know. I couldn't tell you, but there's a lot of stuff. I have a lot of workouts on my YouTube channel you can poke through, but I have for my members, I have all my instructional video archive and the breakdowns and form tutorials and stuff like that. Big support of your strategy, how to train. Keep up the good work. You're crazy fitness freak. Am I a fitness freak? I'm almost adamantly bringing myself back into my own, not a little bubble, but when it comes to training, I think it has to be the exact opposite of where the industry is going. I think it has to get so much more simple. Like when it comes to high repetitions, it's like, is heavier weight and low reps better? Or is lower weight and high reps better? They're both fucking amazing. They're both great. Depends on what muscle you're doing, depends on what point in your workout, depends on what your goal is, depends on how you're applying it. If you're doing high reps all the time, it's going to affect how much muscle you can build. If you're doing low reps all the time, it's going to affect maybe the muscle separation or the endurance and maybe like the shape of the muscles. Like you're going to miss something if you're not mixing it up. It's important to understand what your constant output is and what's the main focus of your training and what you're doing most of the time, and how to implement these other tools. It's all part of advanced programming. Like this is stuff that might be well over your head if you're new to training. You don't need this kind of information. You don't need to worry and confuse yourself. And most of you, even if you've been training for a little while, most of you are beginners, like beginners, because this is not your field, your career. If you work in an office and you've been training for 3 years, you're a beginner. You're a beginner with fitness because you're just not in the industry. You don't know as much about the body as professionals, and that's fine. Everyone has their source of expertise. But once you really get into it and you really learn all the ins and outs of the body, and when I say all, I mean as much as you can, you start really expanding your knowledge and learning how the body works, you are better able to apply these principles to your training, but you're oftentimes making it too advanced from the beginning because it's not all that you do, because it's not the most important thing in your life in most cases. I think it should be, but for most of you, it's not the most important thing in your life. It's not your top priority. When it is your top priority, you'll obviously advance quicker. You'll learn more about your body quicker. You'll be trying things. You'll be failing. You'll be consistent. You learn what your body reacts best to. You learn what's good, what's bullshit, and what works for you might not work for someone else. But most of you that are starting to get more serious about your training, you're starting, or you think you need to start at too high of a level. one of the big windfalls, right, where the people in the fitness industry are making a lot of money, and people by selling you, of course, supplements and all these advanced workouts and all these things as HIIT training and all this stuff. Look, I would say probably 98% of you, maybe more, that want to get in shape, you want to look a certain way. All right. How many of you want to have, whenever I talk to someone and they tell me what they're doing and I ask you what your goal is, it's wanting to lose a certain amount of weight. I want to build more muscle. I want to get rid of my body fat. You do realize that's an aesthetic thing, right? That's how you look. That's not performance. That's not trying to run 10 miles and then do 100 push-ups and do a sprint. It's not a CrossFit class. It's not a group exercise class. What you're asking for is aesthetics. You want to look a certain way. You want to be healthier. You know, that's a byproduct, but you want to look a certain way. You want an outcome. You want to see fitness. You want to be like, I am in shape. And when you're going for a look, it needs that kind of effort. It takes number one priority. And that's why most people don't get the results that they want, because they don't realize how much of a focus or how much of a priority they really need to put into their body. Because most people aren't taught to invest a lot of time. Most people aren't brought up to work hard, to really obsess over something and to develop a skill relentlessly. And that's what fitness is. It's a top priority thing. And that's why very few people look good, right? By most standards, that most people don't have the outcome that they would want, because most people don't put the effort in that is needed. And that's just a fact. It's just a fact. Most people don't put the effort necessary in for a long enough period of time, regardless of failure or success. Just keep on going. Most people don't do that with anything, let alone their fitness and nutrition. Most people just get a gym membership. They go to the gym. They get a couple supplements. Hey, I wonder, I've been going to the gym. I can't get rid of this belly. I don't know. I've tried everything. No, you haven't. You haven't tried shit, let alone done anything really 100%. So it takes a lot of effort, much more than what people think, especially if you're trying to unravel mistakes and things and bad habits that you've created through your entire life. You know, my goal used to be appearance, but I've been chubby and gross for so long that I'm used to it. LOL. I just want to feel amazing. You're not chubby you're not gross. That's subjective. Don't be depreciating yourself. That's not healthy. And it's usually, they go hand in hand in many cases. In many cases, if you do it right, your appearance improves when you're healthier, when you're sleeping better, when you're training, when you're eating right. It'll happen a lot. It'll happen a lot quicker. I want to feel confident enough in my body to defend myself, honestly. I don't know what you mean by that. I want to feel confident enough in my body to defend myself honestly. Like, you want to, that's not confidence. That's like martial arts. You mean you want self-defense skills, or you want to feel good in your body to defend yourself in a conversation? What do you mean by that? Let's see. How do I know if a post-workout discomfort is due to injury or just being sore? You'll know. You'll know. Soreness and injury are completely different. You'll know. How long will a muscle group be sore after workout? Depends. Nutrition, how hard you trained it, your recovery techniques. Could be a day or two, could be a week. Depends on how much you overdid it. Soreness is from micro trauma due to muscular overload. So if you're new to the gym and you crushed yourself, you could be extremely sore for a long period of time. That's where a lot of people get hurt or injured. They do too much too soon. Trust me, most people think, I'm really sore here. It hurts on the bone. It hurts here. Yeah, you fucking worked out for the first time in your life, or you did a new move. Of course you're sore. You're not injured. You'll know if you're injured. Trust me. Like when you burn your hand on the stove, do you know if that's a good or a bad thing? Yeah, you know. You know. When you pull a muscle, you know. When you're sore after a workout, you're sore after a workout. There's good sore and there's pain. Ouch, I hurt myself. You'll know the difference. The body will tell you. It's evolution. You'll know when there's something bad. The most important thing to remember when you're starting off, if you're new and you're that new, that if you're so new that you don't know the difference between sore and an injury, do less when you go to the gym. Do less. Less is more. It's better when you're starting off to go to the gym and not be sore and be like, oh, I thought I worked out really hard. I mean, soreness is not a measurement of whether or not you got a good workout. If you're really sore, it doesn't mean you did well. If you're not sore, it doesn't mean you failed. You don't always feel sore. It doesn't mean you're not going to build muscle if you don't feel sore. It doesn't mean you're going to build muscle if you feel sore. But when you are new to the gym, it's better to not feel sore and then just push it harder, because then you're not going to overdo it. Better to do less than too much. The sun's going to rise tomorrow. There's going to be another day. It's patience. It takes time. It's not going to happen in a day, a week, a month. It's not even going to happen in a year. You'll see a lot of progress, but it's your lifetime. You're starting off something new for the rest of your life. If you just started 2 years ago, you've only been 2 years in. You do plan on living for 40, 50, 60 more years, right? I mean, that's a long time. Multiply that by a lot. So you have this whole journey and process ahead of you. There's a lot more to come. You're always going up this hill. And as you get older, it's going to start to slip away. You're going to have to fight to keep it. You're going to have to fight and keep on working your body so you don't lose that momentum, so you don't lose as much muscle mass as you would if you stopped working out, you know? Once you build it maximally in your 20s and 30s, it starts going downhill. You're going to start losing that ability to build as much muscle to keep that mobility. You got to do your best. You got to do your best to maintain it. So it's always a struggle, but the struggle changes and your goals change. So when you're 20, it might be like, yeah, I want to look good for spring break. I want to be ripped. I want to be fucking pumped, man. I want to look good. And then when you're in your 40s, you're thinking, fuck, I wish I didn't try to lift so heavy for spring break every fucking year. Now my back is jacked up. And then you appreciate stabilization training. You appreciate yoga. You appreciate doing a workout in which you wake up the next day and you can walk. You don't feel like you're fucking crippled or in a wheelchair. Like, you'll feel better. You'll feel better when you start shifting. I started shifting a lot earlier than most people. That's why I preach about yoga so much, because doing that type of active recovery now in your 20s and your 30s is going to help you like 1,000 times over when you get older, like creating that base and creating that habit now. You're not going to have, I never wanted to be that person. Hey, I lifted for 30 years. Yeah, I've been lifting since I was 18 years old, and like my knees blown out, my back hurts. I'm like that old guy waddling around in a gym with a weight belt on, with a Gold's gym shirt. Like, I remember back in the day, I remember Arnold. Never wanted to be that fucking old dude in the gym. That old dude in the gym that talks about how much he used to lift. That old guy. There's always that one old guy that comes up to me like, oh, I remember when I used to bench 400. And you're like, great. Cool story. And as he's like hobbling away, the guy can barely stand up straight. Everyone knows that guy. He's a cool guy. Everyone knows that dude. He's a cool dude. However, I don't want to be a cool dude that waddles around. I want to be able to walk. I want to be able to function. Couldn't have said it any better. Why, thank you. Appreciate it. You're welcome. I always try to answer questions after we go through some of the topics and some of the talking points. Try to answer as many questions as possible. Yoga is why my kids will be trying to keep up with me. Yoga is a game changer. Yoga is the game changer. That is the secret. If you want to increase your strength, if you want to get leaner, if you want to reduce your stress, balance out your hormones more, sleep better, feel less sore, everything, mentally and physically. I swear, I'm not selling snake oil here. Yoga is the fucking shit. It's the fucking shit. There are many different kinds. There are many different styles. Pick one and just fucking start. Try as much as you can. Do it all. I love it. It's amazing. Literally not sitting here every day doing a podcast talking about yoga because it's bullshit. I'm telling you, fitness is so much simpler. There is a reason why I don't push supplements down your throat. I don't have to push supplements down your throat. Every single corner you go to, every other podcast you'll listen to, every other video you'll watch on YouTube, every other video, every other place you go, there are plenty of people pushing supplements down your throat. You don't need that from me. You don't need me sitting here, oh, you should take this, take 5 grams of this. Oh, if you want to get big, you need to take this kind of protein powder. No, you need to eat food. You need to fucking sleep better. You need to drink more water. You need to exercise, meditate. You need to do the fucking basics. Most of you aren't doing shit. for the basics. You don't need HIIT training. You need to get better sleep every night. You don't need to blow yourself out and blow out your adrenals doing these fucking high intensity classes. No, you need to rest, do mobility, and get a little bit more introspective. Everyone's trying to blow off steam and then it just keeps on percolating and building up stronger. That fucking anxiety, that stress, it just comes right back because you're not fixing the problem, right? Mental stress needs mental unraveling, not physical. Not physical. It's all tied in together. But if you got mental stress from work, family, communication, job, goals, dreams, aspirations, shit going on up here, a lot of you do. A lot of you do. Everyone, fucking a lot of you do. Everyone does. How are you managing that? Going and having a workout or going and running 10 miles, you'll feel good temporarily, right? You get those endorphins, you get that little high from the workout, feel good. Oh, I feel great. You didn't solve any of the issues. You didn't solve how you perceive those issues. And then you're going to go back to your habits of how you think about and how you perceive those thoughts, how you deal with all those thoughts. And you're going to get stressed out again tomorrow. When you just keep on working out just to get rid of stress, you need to unravel that stuff. Yoga helps. Meditation helps. And that's really some of the basics. That's really some talk about it all the time. I don't know how many of you just think that I'm just blowing smoke. I'm just saying it. Oh, he's just saying yoga. I'm not going to do yoga. That's weird. Or meditation. He just talks about yoga or meditation. He's a hippie. Not true. Not true. I'm going to be historically correct on that one. You're going to look back in 10, 15 years and everyone, top CEOs, everyone's going to be doing meditation. It's going to be the fucking new, it's going to be the biggest fucking thing. Everyone's doing yoga. It's not just chicks anymore. A lot more guys will be doing it. And everyone's going to be feeling a lot better. A lot better. Because the world is getting more fucked up. The world is getting more and more fucked up. And the stuff that you get shoved in your face all the time, having fun doing some of those current event type things over on YouTube, just picking things I see in the news and current events and stuff, and just giving my colorful interpretation and opinion. I just love making fun of shit. But it's crazy. You're hammered with stuff all the time. You're hammered with supplements. You're hammered with what you should be doing. This is the best way of eating. This is the best way of that. No one knows. No one knows what the best thing is. I'm just sharing my experiences, sharing what works from my education, from my personal experience, from members, just what I see and what I've done. And I know that you don't need these supplements. I know you don't because I've taken them and I have not taken them. And I am still doing great. When you focus more on your nutrition and your food, you'll do better because you're focusing on the important shit. You're focusing on the most important things. When you start trying to suck down and how many scoops of this and how many pills should I take of that, what time, you start focusing on the supplements more than the actual foundation, than the actual meat and potatoes, so to speak. You're focusing on some higher level stuff and some things that may or may not work and are usually based on studies that aren't really founded, that don't really have that good of a base to even claim that they do what they do. Like BCAAs, you don't fucking need that shit. It's bullshit. You need full proteins. You need complete proteins. You know, that stuff gets marketed to death and it's just powder. It's literally just powder. Just get some food. Get some food. You know? You know, protein is cumulative. You just need it throughout the day. You just need enough of it. And everyone's worried about, working out fasted, training fasted, consuming BCAAs and these like neon green drinks and shit in order to build more muscle. No, you need to fucking go train hard and push yourself and give yourself that overload and fucking blast yourself and then go and eat and recover and rest and sleep and do that again and again and again and again for years. There you go. There's fitness. Not too glorious, right? Not too exciting. Most people don't get the results that they want. Most people don't end up looking the way they want because they are not good at discipline. They're not good at being bored. They're not good at sucking it up and doing the same shit over and over again. The bench press has not changed. Dumbbell bench hasn't changed. A squat hasn't changed, fam. A row hasn't changed. A pull-up hasn't fucking changed. The human body moves the same way it does today that it did 1,000 years ago. All right. So it's not like, You don't need new exercise. You don't need these new machines. You don't need anything shiny. You need to move your body more and better and more consistently. That's what it is. It's very simple. This body that we're all in is ancient. It's millions of years old. It's an ancient body. I know if you go into like history, millions, well, we evolved from thousands, tens of thousands of years old, right? Well, 100,000 years old, who knows? Whatever the number is. It's a lot older than if you're 20 or 40 or 50. It's old. Like your body is young, but the evolutionary scale, it's an old fucking body. We have an old unit in a new world with all this different stimulation. You don't need all this crazy shit. You don't need to send electrical impulses through your body to be healthy. You need to stop and think more. You need to get that what you already have, in order. It's so funny how often we look outside and elsewhere for the answer. We look to a supplement. We look to a certain diet plan. We look to a certain group belief. We're always looking for something. We're always searching for shit out there when you got it. You got everything you need. You got the inspiration. You got the discipline. You got the reason. You have everything here with your body. You have everything here. You don't need anything else. You just think you do because marketers are good. They're good at marketing and telling you that you need shit. People tell you that you need shit. Oh shit, I must need that. Hey, if you want to get 6-pack abs, you got to take this pill. Oh shit, he has 6-pack abs and he's taking that pill? I better take that fucking pill so I can get 6-pack abs. Boom. Thus, the supplement industry was born. And the supplement industry was back from when they were doing the snake oil salesman, right? When they were selling these tonics and shit from horse carriages and people were buying them, and you had these guys slinging good game and selling all these bottles of radioactive horse piss and shit. It's like the old style of BCAAs. This guy would roll into Dodge and be like, step right up and try out these new BCAAs. That's right. We got leucine, isoleucine, and valine. These 3 amino acids are going to build more muscle than any kind of thing that you could take, even cow's meat, dog meat, pig meat, egg meat, meat. Step right up and you get a crowd forming and everyone's like, ooh, I need that. Ooh. Snake oil. Snake oil. Come to Wyoming and eat elk. Yeah, wild game is great. You'll never need a supplement. Well, good. Good. I'm glad you got your elk. I got my grass-fed beef. Grass-fed beef, lamb bones, beef bones. Got my broth, got my beef liver. I'm good. Organ meats for the win. Beef heart. So you can drop some questions. Just kind of cooling off. High Rep Fire. Let's see, a new video released yesterday on YouTube. So check that out if you haven't yet. What else is Schnoo? I'll probably be filming another video today. I'll see what's good and what's the latest. Always have ideas, but there's some more stuff coming. Let's see here. The power to change is with the person. People need to stop looking for instant gratification and do work. True. Oh, if you haven't checked out yesterday's podcast, so I hope you enjoyed yesterday. I'm gonna have some more interviews and stuff on here again. We had a bunch of guests on there a couple months ago, but I'm gonna start scheduling some more people and interviews and discussion. But yesterday's podcast, 858 with Casey from Fit Food Fresh, was great. So if you haven't checked that out, a lot of great insights. We always have good talks. Really smart dude and amazing company. So it's great to hear someone that's in the industry. It's an interesting industry because it's kind of like this gray area between you're not a nutritionist, but you need to provide healthy food and you want to make the customers happy. So you're creating food and meals that people want. And, I'm here talking about elimination diets and how to approach your food, and it's not how much you eat, and it's, what foods you're consuming, and that's where you should be starting. So it's an interesting, different layers of some people that are learning and eliminating and figuring out what's best for their body. And then you have those other levels where, okay, I need to streamline my food production. I don't have time to go shopping. I don't have time to go and cook. And if you save all those hours a week and you can just get your meals already made and it's what you want and it's what you need, saves a lot of time. But most of us do the meal prep thing, right? Most of you meal prep, most of you take 1 or 2 days out of the week and you make your meals for the week or for the next couple of days, whatever it is. But as long as you're doing that and you have your system, it's fine. I personally like to have control over my food. Just for me, I like to have my food when I want it. I've always made my food in either always some kind of bulk. I never made it in the moment. I always made at least a certain amount so I had some for the next couple days or at least the next couple meals. Otherwise, you're just cooking all the time, and it depends on my schedule, if I'm home, if I'm not, if I'm around. But in the past, I would just bring a cooler. I bring all this food wherever I went. I would bring meals and meals. Now I just don't eat. I'll do a lot longer periods of not eating between. I used to just bring, if I went anywhere, I'd bring all the sweet potatoes and beef and this and vegetables and salads. I would just bring this cooler with me. Now I also don't travel as much. But when I do, I usually just either just go without eating. I'll bring a little bit, but I'm much more laid back when it comes to my food. I'm much more into fasting or not eating or taking longer periods between food until I eat my food again. Just kind of like, oh, well, I'll just eat later. I do think there's benefits to going without food and having your body trying to maintain system function and stuff without having food always present. I don't think it's always natural. But it's hard to say how much of a difference that makes regularly if you need to do it 24, 40 hours once in a while, to do intermittent, long-term studies. Those are still out to lunch, but some cool stuff with that. I think you really have to figure out what works best for you. As long as you're getting in what you need for the entire day, everyone's going to have their own style. And it's nice to have that kind of like an open-ended approach where you can make these decisions. You can choose what works best for you. And that's where all this kind of comes down to when it comes to the high reps, when it comes to the nutrition, when it comes to your programming, when it comes to your psychological approach. You need to figure out what works best for you. And that type of introspection, looking into yourself, meditation, yoga, doing corrective exercises, focusing on your posture, focusing on how your body feels, listening to your body, approaching your body as not just a quick fix, not trying to look a certain way, but to be healthy, thinking about the long term, having a goal, having a vision, executing every day, but realizing there's a whole lot of this that's going to happen in the future. It's not going to all happen today. And I still have to come back to this myself. I still have to come back to this from a business standpoint, just from a life standpoint. A lot of things in the short term, like today, there's something right now that you can think of that stresses you out. There's something right now that you can think of. Float some hearts if you agree. There's something on your mind that you need to do. There's something that you need to take care of. There's something that you need to get done that's either looming, it's on the horizon. It's something you haven't done yet. It's some kind of responsibility you have, and it's providing some kind of stress. Like, okay, I have to get this done, or I have to get this done. I have 1, 2, 3 things I need to get done for today or for this week. There's something, and that's never going to change. You're going to have something else next week, tomorrow, next month, next year. It's always going to be there. So it's important to realize, okay, that's always going to be there. I'm always going to have some kind of stress. When I get this project done, like for me, I'm always trying to edit videos or get a new video up on Instagram or get this. No, I want to edit this and have the text and have this, put out there. Okay, I got to get this video done. Lately, I'm more like, yo, you do have to do that. But when I get that video done, guess what? I'm going to have to fucking do another one the next day. I'm going to have to do another one the next day. Right? As if I do this video, as if I get this video done for YouTube today, as if I'm not going to have another one fucking tomorrow to do. Or another one that I need to do the next day. So a lot of me is just like, yo, just, chill out. You'll get this one done. You'll have another one coming. So why stress about this one? And then the next one comes. What am I going to do? Stress about that one? And then I'm just stressed all the time. And for me, it's not just the YouTube video. It's the Instagram stories. It's Snapchat. It's the Daily Swole Club. It's Swolenormous X. It's the podcast. It's, taking a shower, washing my balls, like the rare opportunities I get now, just like walking the dog, eating, laundry, like all the stuff that you have to do. You have your plate's full too. You got 1 job, 2 jobs, you have kids, you have to go to the gym, you have to drive here, drive back, make your food. If you get stressed out by all that all the time, you're going to be stressed all the fucking time because it's going to be the same today as it is tomorrow and the next day. So once you realize, oh shit, this is not going to change. This is going to be a constant. Unless you just magically never have something to do ever again, which is going to be a waste of existence, or you're going to be miserable. you need to look at this from a positive standpoint. Like, I get to talk to you fine people every day, right? I get to talk to you fine people every single day. I get to do what I love. I get to talk about fitness. I get to shoot the shit. I get to joke around. I get to swear. I also get to have perspective, right? It's important to have perspective on and understand what these feelings are. That's where the meditation, that's why I always talk about the meditation, because if you're able to, it's pretty much like you get to see your thoughts. Your thoughts slow down. You get to see your thoughts. You get to, I guess, appreciate them or respect them for what they are and just kind of let them, okay, oh, those thoughts are here again. All right, goodbye. So you still have to focus on things that are important. You still have to get things done, but it helps you not get stressed out about the things that will always be there. They're always going to be there. So either you let them stress you out, which is bad, right? Raises cortisol levels, stress hormones, not good for body fat retention, water retention, not good. It's not good. If you learn how to manage that, then you're less stressed. It's going to help you for your health, your nutrition. It's going to help you for your communication with other people. It's going to help with a lot of things. Just being a nicer person, being a nicer person with yourself, being a nicer person with other people, but focusing on those types of things. Don't hate yourself. Don't beat yourself up for being overweight or fat. Do something about it. All my content where I'm like, you're fat, do something about it. I don't hate you because you're overweight. I'm trying to slap you across the face so you fucking make a change and you realize how important it is. I'm just not the type of person that's going to put my arm around you and be like, oh, it's so sad. You get that enough. Fucking the pussification of America puts their arm around you too much. Time to change. Everyone, get off your ass. Get shit done. And that's where the meditation, those things help. It helps you put things into perspective. All right, so Instagram's about to cut off. So I am going to, we're wrapping this up anyway. So if you want to catch the tail end, you can go on the other places, but Instagram's about to end. So bye-bye IG, got about 10 seconds remaining. Always cuts off after an hour. So I'm just not going to restart it. So I will see everyone tomorrow, of course, on IG. Just stay tuned for some other posts. Bye, bye, bye. And Instagram is gone. Bye-bye. Let's see. How do you feel about chia seeds? I don't have any emotion about them. I don't consume them. If that's your question. How do I feel about them? I have absolute disdain for chia seeds. I'm disgruntled with chia seeds. No, I don't have any feelings about them. Yeah, you've been going for over an hour. Of course I have. Every episode's like an hour plus. Every day. Every day I've been going. Every day I'm hustling. I like the longer, as long as there's stuff to talk about, I'm fine going through. I mean, the episodes are all, 40 minutes or so? 40 minutes to an hour and a half, somewhere along that range, depends on what we're getting into. The Instagram shutting down is just that one, it's that period where I realize, oh, okay, it's been an hour. So usually it kind of trails off. Usually about an hour is where I keep it, unless there's an interview or we're doing some kind of a talk or something else and it keeps on going. I'm fine with that. If there's a lot of questions popping up, which there aren't right now, so we won't keep going. But that's how I feel about chia seeds. I'm not that emotional about them. I don't eat them myself, and that's as far as I go with it. If you take any food as an individual food, you can just extrapolate all these benefits and all these. Oh, there's this much protein and there's much this and this much this. Every food you can do that for. What are you gonna do? Eat every food all the time? That's not realistic for people either. And all these quote superfood drinks that you blend this, you get 100 nutrients. No, you don't. No, you don't. Stop. You're not getting all of that in one drink. With all that inflammation in one drink and that one goopy chocolate drink. I see that online a lot. I get a lot of these freaking for supplements, all these vegan mass shakes where it's just fucking tons and tons of just all these plants and seeds just blended together. Here, drink this. It replaces a meal. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No shake replaces a meal. None. There's no quality meal replacement. Just that in itself is just garbage. No, eat real food. Eat the whole food. Do it or don't do it. Oh yeah, Brandon, for sure. Different subject. I changed gyms recently, different scenery, and people make a big change in my training, or made a big change in my training. Yeah, getting a different, sometimes if you feel stagnant and you feel kind of stale, just changing your gym is huge. Changing your gym is huge. It's a different environment. Just get a different smell, different machines, different layout, different lighting, different music, or different energy. Sometimes it could be just what you need. You could still probably go back to your other gym, but it's nice to mix it up. Found a lot of like-minded people who stay the hell out of each other's way. I like that. You went to a gym. Everyone's an asshole. No one talks to each other. I love this place. I love it. Well, sometimes you can get too familiar with your gym. You know all the trainers, you know all the people at the desk, you know all the people that go there, and then everyone just keeps on coming up to you and talking. I'm very friendly at my gym, but I have my hat on a lot and I work hard. I don't really get into too many conversations. Depends, but I usually don't get caught into that because I'm just focused. I don't make a lot of eye contact in many cases, especially when I'm in the middle of it. No, I mean for weight loss, health benefits, and such. I know what you meant. I don't have any comment or content about chia seeds. Like, I never recommend it to people. I mean, if that's something that you want to try, I always recommend people go through the elimination process because that's the most important place to start. And then you can figure out which things work best for you. I'm pretty much over saying, oh, this is great for this. Oh, this can give you a lot of that. Well, it's not great for omega-3s or XYZ if it's causing you to have diarrhea, if it's causing you bloating. So rather than just go to like what scientists might have found in a test tube, like, oh, it has this much of this and this much of this and 30% of your daily required intake of zinc and blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, so what? Maybe it has zinc, but maybe it also makes you shit your brains out. It might have zinc. And I'm not saying chia seeds have zinc. I'm just making something up. But it might have zinc, but what if it gives you chronic migraines? It just fucking blows you up. So it's not so wonderful, is it? And that's why it's important to go to square one and go to scratch first, because then once you start adding foods back in, you're really strict with it, then you can test things like chia seeds and see, okay, the only thing I'm changing in my daily intake is chia seeds, and my knees are aching. And I notice when I don't take chia seeds, my knee, blah, blah, blah. But that's only done when you like really go to an extreme elimination. If you're just adding it in or taking it out, you're probably consuming so many different things that you can't even test it properly. That's why you have to whittle it down and eliminate in order to see what you're reacting best to. Yeah, process of elimination. But it's, when you do an elimination, you got to go down to the cue ball. You got to go down to scratch as close as you can. I mean, you definitely don't need chia seeds, no matter what the nutrition content is for weight loss. You certainly don't need it. But how many foods are there in the world? There are tons of foods. When it comes to seeds and nuts, I would say, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of animal proteins, of like 100% grass-fed, quality animal sources. Some people are adamantly against it. They're going to cite all these things with cholesterol. Nah. Ancient dieting. Ancestral dieting. What I am very curious about, very interested in, what piques my interest more than just any of these like bullshit studies that come out that really don't point in any one direction that are really conclusive. What I'm very interested in is the not the blood type dieting, but like genetic, allergic testing, but going like hereditary dieting and looking at your actual composition, because there are the new realm of science, epigenetics, and how DNA structures and how your body reacts to foods and how your body is predisposed to reacting to foods and certain dieting habits and things like that. That's what's fascinating to me, because human beings are very different from different areas of the world, and how we are built, our actual blueprint, our DNA, is going to give us a lot more insight than maybe, oh, did I have spinach yesterday? It might not be the spinach's fault per se, but most plants are inflammatory. Most plants are not consumable really by humans. We've just grown them and evolved them in a certain way. So there's a lot of resistance to a lot of foods in plant sources, lectins and defensive properties and mechanisms in plants. And some people are going gung-ho with plant-based foods, but a lot of times it's because they're genetically, or they've been bred to be consumable by humans over the course of years and years and years. So you have people that love the vegan or plant-based. You have people that love animal protein-based. I mean, who's right or who's wrong? There are a lot of people that are healthy on both ends of that spectrum, and there's a lot of people that are unhealthy on all ends of the spectrum. So I think it has to come down to other things. I think there's more stuff at work here There's more stuff at work. Why do you have so many people that are successful in all areas? No one here, no one on planet Earth can say veganism is wrong, because there are some people that seem to be very successful with it. There are a lot of people that seem to be very successful with carnivore diet. There are very many people that seem to be successful with keto consistently, with paleo, with any type of right? With any type of nutrition profiling. There are people that trash their bodies with drugs and smoking and live to be 85, 90 years old. So where's the smoking gun? Is it environmental? Is it stress? Is it toxins in the food across the board? Is it just toxins on plants and toxins in meat and toxins in this and blah, 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 and the ozone and fucking the water supply? And I mean, how many variables can we really list off? There's so many different things that we can't even test because we just don't know to look for that combination. Every single different factor is a separate test, and it's really hard. And aside from that, it's just all correlative studies. It's just kind of like observing, like, oh, well, this is high. Well, maybe this is a reason. And then we just kind of keep playing this guessing game. We're like, oh, this was high in certain people that did this. Okay, let's track them for 100 years and see where it goes. And no one does that. I'm not against meat. That's just where I start with the elimination. Yeah, well, in most cases, a proper elimination focuses on wild game or grass-fed beef and eliminates everything else. I mean, the carnivore diet is actually like a really extreme elimination. So, I mean, I'm not sure where you're getting your food from if you're not eating meat on elimination. So that's going to be really hard for you to get your food in. Just be careful with that. I'm getting DNA tested soon. I'll post results in the Facebook group. Yeah, man. For sure. I'm going to be doing that as well. I did a while back. That was a while back, but there's a bunch of new sites and places to do it. And usually you'll give you like some kind of like allergy profile or do a bunch of different things. There's a lot of things that you can order. You get a little finger prick and you send it away. And like in a week, it'll give you all the details online. You don't have to go to a doctor's office. You can get the test you want just by sending it away. So it's super cool. But then they have your blood sample. And what they're really doing is they're breeding super soldiers, right? They're cloning you in a secret underground layer. They're not just doing your blood testing. They're creating a super race of humans. Don't give them your DNA. The government's mapping you and tracking you so they can fucking know your thoughts. Conspiracy theorists. Government doesn't give a shit about your thoughts. Doesn't give a fuck. They got bigger things to worry about. It's hard. It's not hard. Don't weigh yourself down with that. It's simple. Well, I shouldn't say it's not. Okay. It's simple. It's challenging. It's just a process. It's just going through and paying attention. It's trial and error. It's a lot of stuff that people don't want to go through. A lot of people don't want to go through the process of restricting themselves from eating certain foods. But in reality, you're not restricting yourself. You're respecting yourself. You're giving yourself the attention, the time to figure it out. To really figure it out. I think elimination is the most respect that you can give to your body. You're giving your body the gift of time to really pay attention. And you know what? Body, you're the only one I have. I want to know what makes you feel good and what makes you feel like shit. Treat it like another person, right? You would treat another person with respect. You would treat another person with kindness. You would care for another person, but most people don't care for themselves. They'll eat fast food and then make an organic meal for someone else. You know, they'll encourage other people to get in shape and yeah, you should be healthy, but they won't take care of themselves. You should quit smoking. And they're smoking themselves, right? Don't be a hypocrite. Take care of yourself first. Treat yourself like you would treat someone else. Treat yourself like you would treat your child, like you would treat your parents, like you would treat your best friend. You would care for them. You wouldn't want them to eat something bad. Hey, I'm going to eat something really bad. It's bad for me. And you're like, okay, cool. No, you wouldn't say that. You'd be like, don't eat that. It's not good. But then you're just giving it to yourself. All right. You're no different. You got to treat yourself like another person. My son, Amanda on Facebook, my son and I were just talking about the carnivore diet as opposed to vegetarian. He doesn't think he could go straight one or the other. I don't think I can go straight meat. I've eaten a lot of meat in a day. I've done fasting too. I've done without, but I've never really only meat like meat. I don't know. That's really, honestly, in the back of my head, it's just the same programming that everyone else has. You just think like, oh man, only meat? That can't be healthy. That's got to be a risk for the body. I don't know. Is it? I don't know, but literally in my brain, it sounds like unhealthy to me too. I really get that pang of like, oh man, I couldn't do that. It's not healthy just to not have any greens. We're just programmed to think we need vegetables. Not that we don't. I'm just saying it's like there are some people that are doing this carnivore thing and are seeing good results. Like they feel great. They look great. It's okay. Who's to say it's wrong? The body also is very able to survive so many things. So who knows how good it is after 10 years? Some people say they've been doing it for that long. And when you do carnivore, it doesn't mean like you're not eating anything else ever. You know, some people have like a little bit of other things, some fruit or some other things once in a while. It's not necessarily only meat. Some people only do meat because they have nasty allergic reactions and autoimmune issues, but some people are just choosing it for a health direction. And I don't know. I don't know if it's the best health direction. If you start thinking about pesticides and things that are on plants and everything else, it's like, okay, well, it's actually, you know, you say, oh, you need more plant-based stuff. You need more foods like that. Well, they're sprayed too. If you get grass-fed beef, and you can have the same argument about antibiotic pumped beef and grain-fed beef. And it's like, well, what about plants? Even organic plants are still sprayed with stuff, just not ones that are considered inorganic. But it's like, if you're eating a ton of plants, you're also getting a ton of pesticides. And if you're morally eating plants to avoid killing animals, tons and tons of rodents and animals are killed when they're during farming processes. I mean, where do you think these farms come from? They destroy habitats and they get killed when they're burrowing in the ground. And when they till the land, they fucking kill all these animals. It's just, you know, life goes in survival of the fittest. Animals die. We die. Animals, everything dies. Everything goes around. So there's really you can't fix everything. You can't make everyone happy, especially when you go at it from like a moral standpoint. You can't make everyone happy. You can't make the argument across the board, and no one's ever going to feel 100% the same way about anything. So if we're talking about from a health standpoint, that's one argument, or that's one conversation. And that's one that's still being developed, right? Which one is the healthiest way? And is it the healthiest way for all people? Or is it genetic based? Or is it other factors? When it comes from a moral standpoint, like how you feel about, that's just going to be an endless, that will never change for the lifetime of humanity. There's no one's ever going to have the same opinion about everything ever. Fucking when you vote for president, it's usually 51-49. It's a dead split. So, I mean, it's like that with religion. It's like that with any other issue. Abortion, gay marriage, weed legalization, like everything that's like controversial. It's just one more thing. You're never going to appease everyone ever. It's just almost like a wasted argument or a wasted discussion. The moral aspect, we can talk about it. It's just, right? Where are you going to go with it? What are you going to discover? How many minds are you going to change? Just depends on what new documentary comes out that gets people excited for a couple of weeks. It's a topic that's been brought up in his biology class. I agree. It doesn't sound healthy. But it doesn't mean that it's not healthy. And what does healthy mean? Rid of disease and illness. Well, it doesn't sound healthy to do strictly meats, but for me, it doesn't sound healthy to do only plants either. And I think we have this ingrained, and I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying one way or the other, just to clarify. However, it just seems like there's this unwritten, unspoken bias towards we need greens to be healthy. We're just always taught, remember, it's like the classic, eat your veggies, eat your vegetables, eat your Brussels sprouts, eat your broccoli, since we were born, right? It's like religion. So we can't really, it's hard to unravel that. It really is hard to unravel that for anyone, any generation, even like everyone else now and the older generation. It's always been like that. Eat your veggies, eat your veggies, eat your veggies. So it's hard to separate and unlearn that and have like an unbiased opinion on just the carnivore. Again, not saying it's good or bad, just from a philosophical standpoint, it's hard to have like an actual rational thought about it because we're so poisoned, our brains, we're so programmed to think the opposite or just to talk about the opposite. Michael Bastian, I've been looking into the DNA diet testing as well. DNA Fit. If anyone has done this testing, there's a bunch of them out there. I think there's one, I think it's called Everlywell. I think there's another one, Auto I don't know. But you can do it. Just do a search. Google that and just compare reviews and stuff like that. But there's a bunch. But yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that's cool. I think it's cool to do. I think it's good to know, right? I mean, how you can have bad information from that? You can get a test and be like, oh, cool. And it might give you some perspective. Maybe it'll open a door. And I never thought about it that way. Oh, yeah, when I do eat this, it bothers me. Or I do eat that. Let me try this. Maybe you try eating that way and it changes the game for you. And oh my God, your body responds well. You know, having more information isn't a bad thing. But I'll leave you all with that. Good stuff. You could drop some more comments in below if you have any questions or any feedback on the DNA testing, anything that you've used before. You can post in the comments below wherever you're watching. And I'll see everyone tomorrow for episode 860 of the most muscular Swolecast, Beardcast, Broadcast, Gangcast, Mancast, Pimpcast, and Sleazecast in the realm. Because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace, McGee's fam. Deuce, Magoose. Yeah, boy. Papa Swolio. Out.